Privileged and honored to be here at the Diamante Center in Costa Rica. You could reset. Yeah. And particularly to bring you, actually the title I presented was the allergy model of disease. And somehow it's being called allergy elimination, which is part of it. So we'll cover that too. The allergy model of disease, I am so honored and privileged to teach to you because I believe it is one of the most powerful tools that we have to become completely independent in terms of our own health and our own health care, completely responsible for ourselves. And basically, the allergy elimination technique that I use at this point in time is called emotional freedom technique. And it's usually referred to among those in the trade as EFT. And emotional freedom technique is a wonderful, amazing technique that I'll demonstrate later that was given to us by a Dr.Devi Craig. And I'm a chiropractor, acupuncturist, energetic homeopathic worker, allergy elimination type practitioner who does ozone therapy and other things. In the healthcare industry that I've been involved with for over 35 years, people have these wondrous techniques that have magical effects. And they want to keep it. And they want to charge a lot of money for it because that's what our society tells them they're supposed to do, I guess. And Dr. Gary Craig was one of the first people who said, this is something that's wonderful for the whole world. Here, world, have it. And I think it's a great trailblazing model that he has made, and I'm of the same school. And so what I have, I'm happy to give, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, so thank you. The reason that I believe the allergy model of disease can release us from disease is because every disease has at its root an allergy type response. We're not talking about allergies like, oh, my eyes get runny and, my sinuses get stuffed up, and not allergies like that. We're talking about real allergies within the body that result in, among other things, what is referred to as autoimmune diseases. What an autoimmune disease is basically an allergy to some part of oneself. So, allergy elimination, if we assume that that can happen, and we don't have to assume it, we can look at thousands and thousands of examples all around of people who've used allergy elimination techniques for decades now, and I'll explain the history a little bit later, that it isn't something that we have to believe in. If it's practiced correctly, it works. And it works consistently and repetitively. So I've seen it work in conditions including depression, fatigue, cancer, of course, and conditions, many other conditions that are considered untreatable. Like one I'll give an example of later is narcolepsy. The medical community doesn't have a clue how to go about treating narcolepsy. And the allergy model encompasses that. And so if we expand our consciousness enough to accept that we can have allergies to virtually anything, we can even be allergic to other people. Yet those allergies are like part of our software, not part of our hardware. And so it can be changed very quickly and very easily. And so EFT is the technique I use now for doing that. What I'd really like to explain is that the history of allergy elimination for me and for most of the people practicing it in the West came from a Dr.Devi Namboodrapad, who was from India and a student of chiropractic. And she said that she was allergic to everything she ate except rice and broccoli. And so she was obviously interested in finding a solution to allergies. And she looked into acupuncture as a method of treating allergies, and what she found was that accidentally she fell asleep while doing an acupuncture treatment on herself while she was holding a bag of carrots. Now, carrots wasn't one of the foods that she was not allergic to, but she ate carrots anyway because she loved them, and she just put up with the digestive distress or the gas or the whatever the problems were that she developed as a result of them. And she was a mono-food eater, so when she ate carrots, that's what she ate, just carrots. And anyway, she noticed that the next time she had carrots, after that incident, that she didn't have a bad reaction. And she was like, wow, I wonder if that had something to do with the fact that I was holding the carrots while the treatment was going on. So she repeated it and did it for something else, like a grain or something, I think, like wheat. And she found that she could eliminate allergies by focusing the immune system on that allergy during a specific treatment. You see, in the past, acupuncture has been used for treating allergies, and what it does is an allergy is like a certain level of water in a barrel, and at some point they get help with certain treatments, like antihistamines, and it drops way down, but it's temporary because your body keeps producing antihistamines, so it builds back up. But acupuncture typically would lower the level a little bit at a time across the board with everything, with allergies to dust, with allergies to mold, with allergies to milk, with allergies to whatever. They would all get lowered a little bit. But what this technique does is it allows the immune system of the body to focus in and key in on one specific issue that it then resolves. It's like fixing a glitch in software. So it's a very, very powerful model. And now I'd like to go back to that example of the narcolepsy. And it's a long rabbit trail road to get there, but we'll get there. This Dr. Namboodrapad's technique is called NAET. It stands for Namboodrapad's Allergy Elimination Technique. And thousands of people have been trained in that technique, and it does work. There are some difficulties with it, however. Dr. Namboodrapad's book was called Say Goodbye to Illness. And in it, she makes that audacious claim that I made a while ago, that all disease has at its root some type of allergic response. And I believe she's absolutely correct about that. And that's a landmark information in healing the human body, I believe. And so one of the people who supported her work and who wrote books about it, her name is Dr. Ellen Cutler, developed a technique called BioSet. And BioSet stands for bioenergetic sensitivity and enzyme therapy. Because Dr. Cutler varied from Dr. Namboodirpad in two main ways. One, she believed that the digestive system is essential for any type of repair of the body, and so enzymes is one of the key, most important factors that should be focused upon in the normalization of any disease process. And I believe she's right about that as well. And so she wrote many books about Namboodirpad's technique, including hers was the Win the War series, winning the war against allergies, winning the war against asthma, winning the war against autoimmune disease. She didn't write a book winning the war against narcolepsy, but she could have. And she went to Dr. Namboodirpad, and I'm characterizing this as a story that theoretically happened. But it gives some background as far as the development of this type of work. And said, you know, I've observed that a small percentage of the people who get the technique in AET, in about 6 months, they begin reacquiring the allergies that they had eliminated. And what I've found is that every one of those people will test allergic to their own blood. Well, being allergic to your blood isn't a concept that the medical community can wrap its mind around. But it's the reality. And people say, well, how can you be allergic to your own blood? And the fact is, on a personal note, that type of argument kept me away from this type of work for quite a while. When I was in chiropractic college, I learned of this work eliminating allergies, and allergies like to vitamin C. And I was like, how can somebody be allergic to vitamin C? I mean, it doesn't even make sense, you know? And it took me years to figure out that's why it's called disease, Devi. You know, it's not a normal, healthy response that's going on. And so I found that, yeah, people can be allergic to vitamin C. People can be allergic to water. I've had people who were allergic to water in my over 35 years of practice and experience with this. About a handful of them. And those are sick people because their tissues are dehydrated, because their tissues don't want to receive the water. Well, how can that happen, you say? Well, it's kind of like, you know, you've got a friend who comes and visits and he's kind of an annoyance, but you accept it anyway. Well, then he starts bringing his friend. And it's like, wait a second, we don't want your friends and we don't want you either right now, okay? It's like maybe you can come back later, but not right now, all right? So that's what the body does if the water is delivering stuff that the body doesn't want, or if the blood is delivering stuff that the body really doesn't want. It can create an allergy to those things as well. So what if we could just eliminate those allergies by focusing on them one at a time and doing some tapping techniques? Well, the fact is we can. And that makes us responsible for every disease process that we have going on in our bodies, because I can do something about it myself. So we're autonomous from medical authorities who, you know, want to impose their vaccines and their whatever, you know. All of this stuff is from what my family referred to as revenuers. People who want revenue, they want money from you. That's what it's all about, is what it boils down to. Get off our mountain, you frickin' revenuers. It's like, you know, yeah, we're running a still. We've been doing that for generations. There's no problem with that either. But anyway, I'm not in support of revenue. So let me move on to how to actually do the technique. Or better yet, to explain the background more. That once we accept that we can be allergic to our own blood, and we can treat that. Thank you. And we can be allergic to any of our different organs. We can be allergic to our own skin. That's what eczema and psoriasis and things like that involve. It involves other things as well, but one of the things it involves is an allergy to one's own skin. So you can do a tapping technique and say the phrase that you say before you do the technique, and at the end of a 3-minute procedure, eliminate 80% of that allergic reaction and that allergic response. Do it again, and you eliminate 80% of the remaining 20%. Do it again, and you eliminate 80% of the remaining amount. So you do it a few times and the thing's gone for most things. Now I will tell you that the way this type of work goes, it isn't always that way. The critical issue in a person, for example, I had a patient in Kansas City who was a colon therapist who was suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome. And she was allergic to silicone. And when I treated her for an allergy to silicone, it didn't do anything. And I treated her for an allergy for silicone again, and it didn't do anything. And I treated her for silicone again, and it didn't do anything. It took 6 sessions for there to be any change at all. And then she said it was like somebody pulled up the curtain and her life changed, and she got her energy back, she got her perception of colors back, she got her life back. And so it isn't always a 1, 2, or 3 time magical miracle cure. And there are 2 main reasons, by the way, that EFT won't work, whether it's in this process or in other processes that you use it for, like phobias, and it's excellent for phobias. One of the reasons is if you don't hit the right point. And tapping this point instead of the K27 point, you're not tapping the point. And if that happens to be where it's blocked, you're not going to release it. So tapping the right point, I think, is very important in the process. And the second thing is, it doesn't work if you don't do it. Pretty simple. People say, oh yeah, I forgot I could do that. And it's like, well, pretty simple, and if it has a significant enough impact on your life, by getting rid of your migraines or whatever, you'll remember to do it related to other things in your life. So Dr. Cutler's version of treating based on priorities was different from the priorities as developed by Dr. Nambudripad. Dr. Nambudripad approached it from the point of view that the most common allergies are the ones that we should look for and treat first. So she had what she called the top 10. And then after you've cleared the top 10, you clear the top 40. And then after the top 40, the top 360, or whatever it happens to be. And Dr. Cutler's approach was, I believe, much more scientific in the sense that she said the first thing is to eliminate people's allergies to stuff within their own body. So the first treatment for eliminating allergies with somebody is blood. If somebody's allergic to their own blood, they're sick. If somebody's allergic to water, they're sick. So people can be allergic to blood, any of their organs, any of their glands, any of their enzymes, whether created inside the body or brought in from the outside. Any of those we can have allergies to. We can have allergies to hormones that are made inside of our own body, and we develop those when we're given hormones that are artificial from outside the body that throws the hormone balance way off and creates allergy responses for certain of the hormones. So the image that I like for hormone balance in the human body with 87 different hormones is that of the champagne glass fountain. And it only works as long as the table is level. If you put a book under one of the legs, all of a sudden that fountain's way fucked up. Well, that's the way it is with hormones. And so fucking up some woman's hormones by putting her on a birth control pill or giving her estrogen or things like that is really dangerous. This technique allows the body to overcome the allergies to those hormones so that their body will produce those hormones at the normal rate that it's supposed to. The reason it's shutting down production and doesn't want it is because it has an allergic response to it. We clear the allergy and all of a sudden that glass gets full. And as you gradually level the table, all of the hormones, all of the 87 different hormones can go back into balance again. And so how many of these sessions do you need to do to get through the hormones? Well, it depends on the person, just like everything else. Some people might not have any issue with it whatsoever. And somebody else might be allergic to all 87 hormones. And now we can talk about the narcolepsy, which involves something called neurotransmitters. What if we could have allergies to the neurotransmitters, which are the chemicals that our brain creates? We certainly wouldn't want to be producing them, but what happens if we force ourselves by doing a certain mental activity to create that particular neurotransmitter that the body has an allergic response for? You just go into overload, you go into shutdown, and that's what happens with narcolepsy, is people just get boom, and they're just out. I had a patient who was 19 years old and wanted to be a priest in my Kansas City practice. And he had narcolepsy, so they wouldn't allow him in the priesthood. After we cleared him, it turned out that he was allergic to 18, I think, of the 28 neurotransmitters that we knew of at that time. There might be more now, I don't know. But he was allergic to a large number of them, more than half for sure. And that treating him actually taught me something about the process. If you treat all of the ones that he's allergic to in the same group, like hormones, together at the same time, the body will clear more than one of them. It'll clear 4 or 5 at the same time. And so you can do like a group like that, and you just keep doing the group until there isn't a response anymore. And so when he got to the point that the allergies to the neurotransmitters was gone, the narcoleptic episode stopped, of course, and they allowed him to be a priest, and he's a priest now. So that's the kind of power and significance that there is to the allergy model of disease. So I'd like to take a break for a little bit and then go into how to eliminate allergies. What we're about to do is to test the integrity of certain organs and glands by using the muscle response test. A muscle response test involves using just hold your arm right here, hold it out straight, and resist. Good. A muscle or a group of muscles has an indicator light, like an electrician would use by making a connection, seeing does it light up or doesn't it light up. So, say your name.
My name is Tom.
Okay. Now say my name is Alice.
My name is Alice.
Okay. And so, with the same amount of pressure, it just doesn't hold. Okay. So if there's an incongruency or a lack of integrity somewhere within all of that, there's this brief response by the body that is like temporarily like, what? And that's what you get. That's where you get a weakness. So what we can do is do that with a challenge by challenging lung, heart, stomach, large intestine, small intestine, ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon. We've got bladder, prostate, kidneys on the back side. Turn this one. Kidneys and adrenal. And there's an adrenal response. And there's an adrenal response. So we can see the areas that we need to work in this patient just from that simple scan is large intestine and adrenal. And then we can also do that for various, turn 45, thank you, for various glands like the thyroid, the parathyroid, the pituitary, the pineal. Oh, a little pineal action going on there. So feed that thing. When we find a weakness, can we go on to the treatment part? Is this a good thing? Okay. What we're going to do is I'll ask you to do the same thing that I do, and just click your hands together like this. Nope, the two together, the palms. Okay. And this is called the karate chop point, which if you were going to hit somebody, that would be where it would be. And this is a very, very important point that is from the work of a Dr. Roger Callahan. And in his work, this is for treating and correcting what's called psychological reversal. Psychological reversal is what many of us would know and recognize as self-sabotage. And this puts us on the right track. It centers us, keeps us focused in the correct direction. So this is a very powerful part of the first phase of doing this procedure. And in your case, we're going to do adrenal. Okay? So what I'd like for you to do while you're tapping these 2 points together is repeat after me. Although I have a problem with my adrenals, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Although I'm overcoming problems with adrenals, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Although I've had problems with adrenals, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Then tap this point on the front of the top of your head forward a little bit. And then inside of the eye, then outside of the eye, then directly under the pupil, then directly under the nose, halfway between, come downward, directly under the lip, the K27. This is one most people get wrong. It's just below this bone, called the collarbone, where it attaches to the sternum. And if you want to do it on this side, this bone, you want to be just below it and outside just slightly. And again, if you don't hit the right point, you don't get the effect.
Kind of where the two bones meet.
Where the two bones meet, exactly. Just below that.
So there's like this little notch right there.
Exactly. Yeah, not over here somewhere, which is where people usually want to do it. And if you do it there and it's locked here, it's not going to work. Okay, so you got to be on the right point. Okay, then under your arm, even with the nipple, directly under the nipple by a couple ribs. Couple ribs under the nipple, good. Then directly on the side of the thumb, where the nail starts. Then the side of the first finger, middle finger, and pinky. Then we want to do this point, which is an equilateral triangle from your two knuckles, right there. Close your eyes. Open your eyes. Turn your eyes down to the right, down to the left. Roll them in a circle. The other direction. Hum happy birthday. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hum happy birthday. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. Tap the top of the head. Inside of the eyebrow. Inside. This end. Then the other end. Then directly under the pupil. Directly under the nose. Under the lip. K27. Good. Under the arm. Under the nipple. Side of the thumb. First finger. Second finger. Pinky. And where we started with the karate chop point. Karate chop. And we're done. Good. Hold your arm up here, please. Okay. Adrenal. Adrenal. Say adrenal.
Adrenals.
Okay. So that eliminated an allergic response to the adrenal glands themselves, which would develop into an unhealthy situation in a few years. And so the deal is to work through all of those different things. All the organs, all the glands, all the blood, water, all the vitamins, all the minerals. And all you do is test for each one. And we can test it without having a point to push or anything like that. The power of the spoken word is something that most of us are still learning. It's very powerful. And especially what you say after I am. Be careful what you say there, because it's going to be, you're putting it into vibration, you're putting it into reality. So the vibration is the reality. So by intoning something, you're creating that reality. So what I'd like for you to do is to say adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
Okay, so there's a response to that. So we could do this again for adrenaline, for example. Let's try something else. Let's try insulin.
Insulin.
Okay, let's try calcium.
Calcium.
Okay, vitamin C.
Vitamin C.
Okay, what I'm doing is using this as an example, that we can test anything by intoning it. And the body, the intelligence within the body understands it. Even if it doesn't speak that language, it understands. And it's the practitioner-patient interaction is a holy interaction. And so it involves both the intention of the practitioner as well as the patient. And if you have a pure intention, you're going to get a wonderful result. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.